Chapter 29. The Mighty Mud Cat. Christmas was coming, and Eddie had drawn Gray's name. He wanted to give him the best present he'd ever gotten, so he started thinking hard. He didn't have much money, so the mini bike got crossed off the list. A trip to Disney World was out, too. Eddie was starting to get desperate. So one day, as he was flipping through another old National Geographic, he came across an ad for a fold boat, a folding kayak that you could build yourself at home. Bingo! Eddie couldn't afford the $149.95 it would take to buy a fold boat, but that didn't faze him. He would draw up his own plans and build a boat from scratch. He was going to need some help with this project, so he went to his dad. Yes, he'd help him buy the materials. Yes, they could put it together in his dad's office. Yes, he'd help him when it came time to make the cuts. Eddie was thrilled. A few weeks before Christmas, Eddie made a sign and hung it on the office door. Santa's Workshop. Stay out if you want to live until Christmas. This means you, Gray. Ho, ho, ho. Well, the mystery grew. There was tiptoeing around at night. Sounds of heavy objects being dragged through the house floated up to where little Gray was trying to sleep. There was the sound of sawing, rasping, and sanding coming from behind the office door. Was that a power tool? What could be going on? Poor little Gray. He was only 8 years old, and the suspense was worse than anything he'd lived with in his short life. He just had to take a quick peek. So he checked the dining room. No one was there. The living room was empty, and so was the kitchen. He timidly said, "Anybody here?" No answer. Gathering up all his nerve, Gray tiptoed down the hall to the office. His hand went out to the doorknob. He slowly turned it and opened the door a crack. He stuck his head in just enough to see the bow of a homemade John boat when, all of a sudden, bam! Someone grabbed him by the scruff of his neck and the seat of his breeches, lifting him into the air. He heard Eddie's furious voice. "You two-bit, four-flushing, wall-eyed, cockamamie jackanape! What do you think you're doing?" And with that, Eddie spun little Gray around and flung him the full length of the hallway. Gray hit the rough wooden floor and skidded over the splinters, but he didn't stop to lick his wounds. He was more interested in saving his life. He leapt to his feet, dashed around the corner, through the dining room, and into the living room, where he sailed over the top of the sectional couch to go to earth in the tiny space left where the couch didn't quite reach the corner. He tried not to breathe as he trembled and prayed for deliverance. Fortunately, Eddie didn't find him. And by Christmas morning, all was forgotten, and Eddie led Gray down the hallway to the office. He tore off the sign and opened the door. There, covered in fresh paint, sat Gray's boat. It was a flat-bottomed riverboat with 2 seats. Across the bow was lettered the words, "Mud Cat." Now, mud cats are a kind of catfish that live in the Big Coal River. They aren't very pretty to look at, but they are tough. And in a way, they can be like brothers. Sometimes the relationship can get a bit ugly, but brotherly love is tough and can overcome a multitude of sins.